In Afrikaans, springbok means jumping buck, and we already know why. Like the gemsbok, it's perfectly adapted to the life in the desert. If water's available, he drinks every day, but he does not fear drought because he is able to recycle the water in his body internally. During the dry season, it digs into the ground to find roots and bulbs. Obviously, it's the prey of choice for predators of the savannah, but it's much too fast for lions or leopards. Only the cheetah is faster, but the springbok can hold its top speed over a longer distance. And most of the time, the springbok wins. A surprise awaits us at the waterhole. This is not the male we encountered on the first day, so there are at least 2 groups of lions in the area. Ah, he saw something. A female. At first I thought they were fighting, but in fact they were playing to show the pleasure of being together, I suppose. The park is crossed by 2 rivers called Nosob and Oab, but they have been dry for decades. It's not surprising that its name means the land of thirst. To maintain life in this desert, waterholes have been created by pumping water from the groundwater table. All the animals drink at them at one time or another during the day or night. But they often have to travel many kilometers because there are only 60 of them for a territory roughly as large as Switzerland. Hennie doesn't think they're a couple because they both seem too young. Maybe they're brother and sister. There are only 2 car parks between Mata and Tuy-Riveren. It's forbidden to get out the car outside of these picnic areas.
So, Emily is making us a
freshly grounded espresso coffee in the Kalahari with our mini-me oven, our camping stove, our plunger, and our inverter system in the bucket. We are 100% sorted.
Isn't he wonderful?
Sometimes.
Kori bustards are primarily terrestrial birds. They search for their food on the ground, walking slowly. However, if they feel they're in danger, they can take off and fly long distances. As some males sometimes reach 20 kilos, this species is indisputably the heaviest flying bird in the world. It's usually found alone or in small groups of 2 or 3. No, I'm not filming the Campona's cat, but an authentic African wildcat. It lives in the savannas or deserts south of the equator, and in principle far from humans. It's the ancestor of our domestic cat.
Nice, guys. See, I told you they were sweet.
The day starts well. Cheetahs are not seen very often. Hennie says that it's a mother with her 2 teenagers. Mating season lasts all year round, but males and females don't form couples. On average, the mother has 3 to 5 babies, which weigh about 500 grams at birth. The death rate of babies is around 40%. The mother brings them up alone and will teach them how to hunt for a year. Then she'll force them to leave. These little 30-gram birds bear the strange name of sociable weaver. Instead of individual nests, they prefer a collective one where they reside all the year. These nests often weigh several tons and can be decades old. They are maintained by all of their inhabitants, whose number can be between 300 to 400 birds. Their straw walls are an excellent insulator from the heat of the day and the cold of the night in the desert. Sorry, but I don't know the names of these 2 birds. This multicoloured bird is the national bird of Kenya and Botswana. We surprised this one in the middle of a meal. To catch the lizard, it perched on the branch of this tree, swooped down on its prey, and flew back up to its perch to devour it. However, it must first be immobilised. Here you see how it does it. The roller is essentially carnivorous, a big consumer of grasshoppers, but it can also attack small birds. The puff adder is a very common snake in southern Africa. Males can reach 2 meters long and weigh 6 kilos. They are viviparous, and the female gives birth to a large number of babies, 50 to 60 on average, which are already 15 centimeters long. Its venom is very powerful, but it only attacks to defend itself. It was found out that she ate a lot of toads. Its hunting technique is to stick out its tongue without making any other movements, and when the toad sees the tongue, it mistakes it for some kind of potential prey. So it intrigues it, it gets closer to the viper, and he gets caught. It's one of the snakes with the fastest strike speed of 2.6 meters in 1 second.
Never miss a shot, eh?
Surprisingly, our days all start with a giraffe crossing the road. It's long been believed that the giraffe's spots darken over time, but a study conducted in Etosha Park by Australian scientists showed that this was not always true. In 2019, they came to the conclusion that darker markings could reveal the physical condition of the males and be used in a way to signal to others their competitive ability. Basically, if my spots are darker than yours, I'm stronger than you. Springboks almost disappeared in the 19th century due to massive hunting by Europeans. But today, they are the most abundant antelope thanks to the large numbers in South African national parks and reserves. Male giraffes like to compete in strength contests called necking. They use their necks to butt their opponent. The purpose of these games? Make your opponent lose its balance and ensure dominance. The loser then leaves with its head and ears lowered to mark his submission. Unless mating with a female, clashes between male giraffes are rarely violent. They even end with affectionate gestures or even mating between males. One last thing about giraffes, because we won't see them anymore. It's the land animal that sleeps the least. On average, only 2 hours per 24 hours, and again, not continuously, but in increments of a few minutes. Everyone is familiar with the expression, "so stick your head in the sand like an ostrich." It's used to refer to someone who refuses to see danger and prefers to hide rather than face it. This expression comes from the popular idea that the ostrich buries its head in the sand when it feels threatened. It's wrong. The ostrich does stick its head in the sand, but that has nothing to do with any danger. When the ostrich is scared, it runs. Today there are several theories to explain this confusion. First, the ostrich lays its eggs in the ground up to 30 centimeters deep. When she broods her eggs, she turns them over regularly and removes any lizards or rodents that have become encrusted in the holes. The ostrich therefore very often has its head in the sand during the brooding period. Second reason, the ostrich eats everything and all day long. It therefore very often has its head close to the ground, which seen from afar can give the impression of a bird burying its head. Ostriches drink a lot but never bathe. They love dust baths, the only way for them to waterproof their feathers and get rid of parasites. The northern black korhan lives in semi-desert areas of South Africa, Botswana, Angola and Namibia. The male is very colourful, but the female is not. The male is noisy, always trying to show off, while the female is very discreet and tries to go unnoticed. They do not build nests. The female lays her eggs directly on the ground, sheltered by a bush. They feed on seeds, plants and insects, with a great preference for termites when they can find them. This is a big family. If I've counted correctly, Mum and Dad are the proud parents of 16 chicks. The female can reproduce for 40 years with an average of 30 to 60 eggs per season. But 85% of them do not reach the age of 1 year, killed by predators. You notice that they all followed their father when their mother strayed. The secretary bird is widely present in almost all of sub-Saharan Africa. We've seen it before hunting prey. But I didn't tell you that it's the only bird in the world that kills its victims by kicking them with its feet. Tonight we're going to sleep in Nosob. We haven't seen anything for an hour and a half when passing this waterhole we see a jackal and a mysterious animal that's drinking. It's a caracal. They are numerous in Africa, but we were lucky to meet it this morning because it's a nocturnal animal. It's generally a solitary animal and so rarely seen in pairs or in groups. It hunts like a cat, crawling silently on the ground before pouncing on its prey. It can leap 3 meters to capture birds in flight. Can kill larger prey by biting them in the throat. If it has the opportunity, it attacks flocks of sheep or domestic poultry. This explains why in Namibia and South Africa breeders are authorized to kill them. To shelter from the heat of the day, it will take refuge in a cave or a hole or tunnel dug by another animal. There are 47 species of agamas in Africa. The blue-headed tree agama hunts by day. It moves very little, preferring to jump on its prey when it passes within its reach. They live in colonies of females and young around a dominant male who fights to maintain his hunting territory. I think that's what we see here. We are 60 kilometers north of Nosob. Not many animals this afternoon, except this jackal watching his meal, who flies away. With perseverance, one can achieve anything. The jackal is an optimistic hunter that eats almost any prey of its size that it encounters. It ranges from insects to young antelopes, including birds like here. It also eats fruit, grass or mushrooms. It can, like hyenas, clean up a carcass of dead animals or steal a few pieces of meat during the meal of another predator.
As it went into drink, it's going from behind.
Not very friendly for future customers of the watering hole. Oh, look what's coming. They are red hartebeest. The different hartebeest subspecies are found in several countries south of the Sahara, but I think without being sure that the red hartebeest lives only in southern Africa. It's a bovine, although it looks more like a horse than a cow. They feed on grass or roots and are very resistant to periods of drought. Dominant males have a harem and are very territorial. Non-dominant males, females and their young live in subgroups of a few individuals. They are the prey of all the big cats, but with speeds of up to 90 kilometers an hour, they often escape their predators. Only the cheetah can run as fast, but the adult red hartebeest is too large a prey for it. Outside the national parks, its hunting is commonly organised as a tourist attraction, promising beautiful trophies and tasty meat to hunting enthusiasts. It's an animal that does not tolerate captivity well, so it's rarely found in zoos. Our jackal won't be alone for long. A new visitor appears on the right. A secretary bird approaches the watering hole. It is unique with its majestic walk and its ceremonial costume, completed by its crown of black feathers which looks like a diadem. Male and female are almost identical. Adults measure around 5 feet. It's a raptor from the falcon family. When the bird leaves, a herd of blue wildebeest arrive to quench their thirst. The wildebeest is an antelope, also from the Bovidae family. It's a herd of about 40 adult animals, nothing like the herds of thousands of wildebeest whose migration images we've all seen in Kenya and Tanzania. There are no young, perhaps because it's December and the calves are born in February. The calf is able to run 3 minutes after birth. The main predator is the lion, which is responsible for nearly 90% of the wildebeest killed each year. Fortunately, the wildebeest is very enduring and can run at 65 kilometers an hour over a very long distance. The blue wildebeest is dependent on a water source, even though it can go several days without drinking. There are now 3 secretary birds at the waterhole. The bird lives mainly on the ground and can travel 20 to 30 kilometers a day to look for food. Disturbed or threatened, it will often prefer to run away rather than fly away. It is, however, an excellent glider. It's rare to see such a gathering of these birds. The species has been officially protected since 1968, but their numbers still seem to be decreasing. A vulture has just landed. There are at least 7 species of vultures in the park, and I can't tell you for sure which species this one belongs to. I'm thinking probably an African vulture or maybe a whiteback vulture. There are eventually 3 have come to drink. They're medium-sized birds weighing between 4 to 7 kilos with a wingspan of over 2 meters. Like all vultures, they feed on dead animals.
Oh! Took a bite out of him.
Yeah, they're together, funny enough.
Oh, it's nasty. There's one in the middle.
Whiteback vultures are thought to be common and abundant, but according to BirdLife, their numbers have been declining for nearly 30 years. Ah, finally meerkats. This is the only time we will see them. Unfortunately, they are not very close. They live only in the desert areas of southwest Africa. They eat roots, but also small rodents, insects, birds, reptiles and scorpions, and are immune to most venoms. They live in groups of 20 to 30 individuals, led by a dominant couple. In turn, a member watches over the security of the clan and warns it with specific sounds if a danger is spotted. They can use up to 30 different cries depending on the message to convey. Fearlessly cunning, the drongo is able to modulate its voice to imitate the alarm cries of other animals. His victims run away and he can quietly steal their food. Yellow mongoose live in colonies that can number up to 20 animals. They dig galleries which they sometimes share with meerkats and ground squirrels. They eat termites, grasshoppers, small rodents and birds, but do not refuse human food. Here is one who's going to feast on a piece of chicken that's fallen on the ground.
An hour?
Half an hour. 20 to 30 minutes after born, it will run around. The gestation period of the springbok is 4 months. So in pre-rain season, November, December, they normally calve. And then if it's a good rainy season, they can calve again in April, May. So the springbok herd can multiply really quickly from 100 to 200 to 400 in 4 months, if the vegetation is sufficient.
I've got him.
You got him?
Yeah.
Good.
We'll continue our journey to the camp of Tuy-Riveraine in order to register for tonight. And then we'll come back later to see if we can see this lion again. I don't know if it's the same one, but there is a lion here. Several cars have stopped near him. Maybe that's why he's moving. But he just crosses the road to lie down on the other side. Lions are inactive for almost 20 hours a day, including 10 to 15 hours of napping. It's hot, it's 37 degrees in the shade, but not exceptional for him. However, he seems exhausted. When we leave an hour and a half later, he will have changed his position from time to time, but not his place. He's now in the full sun, which should bother him, but his sleep is more important. Everyone is hurrying back to camp because the camp will soon be closing. It's the day of departure. This morning, Hennie plans to cross the dunes on a track reserved for 4x4 drivers with special authorization.
So this is what?
Cape Fox.
So it's not the bat-eared fox.
No.
we
It's
saw the other day.
yeah, it's a Cape Fox.
But for me, they look the same.
No, they don't. The black-eared fox is black. This one is more golden color.
A mother and her son under a camel thorn tree. The cheetah was domesticated 5,000 years ago. Capable of reaching speeds of 110 kilometers an hour, it helped man catch the fastest prey. Although hunting has been banned since the 1990s, the African cheetah is an endangered species. There are only 10 to 15,000 left living in the wild, compared to 100,000 in 1900. We start the crossing of the dunes. Hennie noticed that the bumper has a problem. Sure enough, it was threatening to come loose at the next jolt and cause major issues. After 40 minutes of effort, we're able to leave. The wheels spin in the sand. Impossible to pass the dune. We need to roll back and try again. We have left the Kalahari to move closer to the spectacular Augrabies Falls on the Orange River. The vineyards stretch as far as the eye can see, for miles and miles. The vast majority of the grapes will end up on the tables around the world, especially for the end-of-year holiday season. Khoisan natives call the Augrabies Falls the place of loud noise. We'll understand why very soon. At the moment, the flow of the Orange River is particularly strong, to the point that these lookouts were flooded a few days earlier. Augrabies Falls National Park covers more than 46,000 hectares, which border the 18-kilometre long canyon. To within 1 metre, these falls are exactly the same height as their Niagara Falls, 56 metres instead of 57. Their flow rate is twice as high. And yet I've never heard of it before this trip. It's hard to believe, but this is what the river looks like a few kilometres upstream from the falls. The trip's over. The plane will take us to Johannesburg and then back to Europe.